As some of you listeners to When I'm Not Podcasting know, I drive for Uber, and I've done for Lyft as well. And for the most part, I do enjoy riding for Uber and Lyft and driving for them, because on the weekends, it's something where, I'm still a workaholic. I enjoy getting my time just to relax. And it's one of those jobs where I've enjoyed the fact that I don't have to go ahead and, set a schedule. I can work when I want, turn it on, and when I'm on, I'm in a zone, and I enjoy it. I make some money, and I can take some breaks when I need to, and it's good. And it keeps me busy. Takes a good amount of my day. As I record this, I'll be getting ready to go ahead and drive on Halloween night and Halloween day. I'm going to take a whole day out there and go ride around, get my car all cleaned up, ready to go, and take a lot of people around where they got to go. I actually enjoy it. It's something fun. Even if I don't get many tips, and that's okay. Please tip your Uber and Lyft drivers, huh? It's very important. From The Guardian. They say that there's a racist business model behind Uber and Lyft. What? The apps feed a false promise of stability to immigrants and people of color. Instead, drivers receive low pay and benefits. Let's take what they're trying to go up on this. Okay. Uber and Lyft want you to know they're not racist. That's why Uber put up billboards all over the West Coast saying, if you tolerate racism, delete Uber. It's why Lyft is running ads featuring Maya Angelou's Lift Up Your Eyes poem over clips of black passengers enjoying their service. It's all to say, we get it. We're woke. We think Black Lives Matter just like you do. We're with you in the struggle. I haven't worried too much about that. And I'll tell you, I get such a variety of people in my car that I drive around, not even thinking about anything more than it's just a passenger. Here's my destination. I put on my music based on what I think would be something they might listen to, based on their age, based on, if I talk to them for a minute and say, hey, going to take you here, whatever, I'll kind of just put music on that'll kind of be fitting and it'll be suitable. So if it's somebody that's more adult and more, I feel not want to hear anything, because again, remember, when you're an Uber and Lyft driver, you're getting to drive as you want, because you want to make it where you're the one that's driving yourself. It's not like you're acting like a taxi so much as you're giving that person a ride. You are ride sharing. So you get the experience of ride sharing. So a lot of times I put particular music on for Uber and Lyft drivers out there. One of the stations I like to put on a lot, which really does pretty good for me, that is just pretty simple and cool and sounding. I use a station on TuneIn Radio called Miami Soundsets. It's one of my favorites. I've been using that for over a year now. And, it's a lot of instrumentals. A lot of good, almost like cool bar music for the Miami scene, kind of Miami Beach bar music. And it's really well done. It's mixed. It's good 60-minute long sessions, a little bit of talking here and there from the DJs. But other than that, it's just straight up. And you just go through it. The music feels good. It's not too annoying or too loud. You can just put it in there and it just fits kind of the vibe of what I'm doing with the drive. So I do that and I put it in there. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can enjoy this. And if I don't do that, sometimes I'll put on reggaeton music. I'll put stations out of Dominican Republic to go ahead and play some music that's like the extra fast Dominican Dembo stuff, the El Alfas and things like that, along with the Bad Bunny and the Setches and all this stuff. And I'll put that song music on there, especially for the cooler kids. The kids that are younger, I'll put that on. And if I want to, I might put on Spotify Today's Top Hits. That's kind of the stuff I put on. So I use Spotify, I use TuneIn to my advantage. These powerful companies are already in a strong position to discuss it. In fact, they have one of the most diverse workforces in the U.S. A UC Santa Cruz study found that in their hometown of San Francisco, 78% of app-based drivers are people of color, 56% are immigrants. In the survey, 71% of these app workers work 30 hours a week. More work half than 40 hours. Now, do they ask if these people are working full-time work or working other jobs? Okay. For me, I'm using this as a side hustle. This is a part-time job. And it gives me, I can put in, take 10, 12, 15 hours maybe in a week, and I get to do what I want to do. Now, this is part of the whole description of how they can, people should be able to go and make full-time pay and get benefits as Uber and Lyft drivers. Okay, this is the argument they're trying to give. I'm going to go ahead and debunk this now. So despite this, as much as 20% may earn $0 extra expenses and 15% are forced to rely on public assistance to get by. The last workforce that was predominantly people of color that worked this hard for $0, it wasn't a great moment in our nation's history. This is bullshit. What do you mean? Because they have to put money into what they're doing with their cars and maintenance? Is that what we're talking about? I mean, it depends on some people if you're driving around. The one thing is that, there's only a certain amount on the dollars that you're making on the rides, but I don't think it's necessarily bad. You're getting 70 cents for every mile that you make, which that's what they do. It's not like you're going to be breaking some super bank. I mean, you can make, honestly, if you're doing this right, you can really make $15 an hour doing Uber. That's pretty much the standard. Now, you could also do things where you're trying to offer different options, alcohol, delivering for packages or freight kind of stuff. Well, not freight, but, like packages and things like that. Doing courier stuff. That's a better word for it. Okay. Or you're doing food delivery for Uber Eats, things like that. And also, these people also find a way to go ahead and work multiple shifts. Like they're doing Lyft as well, or they're doing DoorDash, or delivery dudes, or what have you, or Postmates. So these wealthy companies have built an entire business model on gaslighting people of color and exploiting them for cheap labor. Who's the idiot that read this story? Where did they get that from? This whole idea, Erica Smiley. Where did you get this idea from this survey? I want to actually look what the survey says real quickly just to find out what they're talking about. I hate to tell you, Erica Smiley, I'm looking at the actual document itself from UC Santa Cruz. If I do a search for $0, guess where it says that? Nowhere. Nil, nada. It's not anywhere on here at all. When Uber and Lyft first started, they told drivers they can make up to $100,000 a year if they drive full time. Well, let's break it down. So $8,000 a month. Well, remember, these people can work up to 12 hours a day, right? If you work the full length of Uber driving and you did 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So I put that in and I said, okay, that is roughly 360 hours you can work in a month, right? And times it by $15. Now, that's the average I get right now. Pretty good, say $15. That makes it to $5,400 a month. Times 12, I'm at $64,000. Now, the idea is that you could make up to $20 an hour in some cases, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing airport rides, if you're doing other rides, and you're making, they were actually thinking you were going to make money off of tips, right? And that was the idea. So if you times it again, and you say it's $20 an hour that you make, again, $7,200 you can make in a month, and then times that by 12, and you're now at what? 86,000. So, okay, they might have pushed up a little bit by saying that. The industry then became more competitive. Uber and Lyft began to demand as much as 20% off each ride, all while drivers were paying their own car expenses. Right, because you're using your own car. You're already paying for the service of using the car in the first place. You're paying for your own gas you would have used already. You're paying for the insurance you would have already had. Where are we going with this? And when these apps realized they needed larger fleets to compete, they started recruiting low-income, often immigrant drivers with false promises of the American dream. No. It's because the Uber drivers, the Lyft drivers, they know that as immigrants, they don't really need to speak English. They just need to know how to drive. And if they're able to get a driver's license, then they can go ahead and drive. So they're doing it because of the fact that it is work that they can do, much like a taxi driver. It's just another way to do it without having to go to doing the driving. So why not? Sounds like a good idea to me. For example, even if you didn't have a car or credit score, Uber was setting you up with a car lease. All you had to do was commit to making 150 to 200 rides a week for the company. Can't do it? No worries. Uber knows there are plenty of others for them to target, but you still have to pay for their car lease that Uber signed you up for. No, you don't have to use their car lease. No. You can go and lease wherever you want. And there's actually services out there that'll let you rent a car or lease a car, and you're doing fine with that. But for the most part, the people that do well are if they have their own car. And here's the most important thing, pray tell. You're not counting the fact that I'm a Uber XL driver, or excuse me, I'm a Uber an Uber X driver. Okay, I have a compact car. And the pricing for the luxury cars are much more. Those people could make $100,000 if they wanted to go and be like a car service and they run 12 hours a day. It can be done. It's close to impossible, but it can be done. Because remember, they're doing airport rides on a regular basis. They stay around there. They keep driving around, doing their stuff. They can make some pretty good money that way. And remember, unlike car services, they can actually take rides in between wherever they're at on their way back to where they want to go. Too often, these apps are feeding the false promise of stable living to immigrants and people of color. It's what driver activists like to call exploitation through innovation. This is bullshit. Okay, there are some people that do not like this in California because they're progressive. They're being told, oh, this is the way you can actually make a full income. So this is where the whole story about in California, they're trying to go and fix that up. Now, here's the part they're talking about with a flexible model of employment. As we've seen, most gig drivers aren't working flexible hours. Well, bartenders don't get paid, full price when it comes to, benefits or investments or 401k and things like that. This is not a corporate job. A lot of small businesses don't have that. Okay? We learn how to go ahead and write off our expenses. And if some people are not doing that, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? They're talking about San Francisco as well, which, listen, I can't speak for Stanford. I can speak for Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, where I'm in South Florida. We don't have this kind of problem. The lack of health care, the bad pay, the fact that 59% of food delivery drivers say they cannot save enough to handle a $400 emergency expense. Because depending on how often you're actually working, we don't know how many hours they're working based on the survey, do we? Now, they tell them the coronavirus. Well, yes, everybody kind of lost work when they were doing this because nobody was going to take riders, and it was not safe. Now I've gotten to the point where I've dealt with a mask, and I've been driving back with Uber and Lyft since May of this year. I took 3 months off actually, because I took off before in February when things were starting to get bad. And I basically took 3 months off. I got back in and everything's been fine. No problems. Thankfully, Erica Smiley writes, we have the opportunity to change this racist, exploitative model for good. It starts in California. Voters can redefine app-based employment this November and help countless people of color drivers get the pay and the benefits they earned by voting no on Prop 22. I would overturn a previous law that expands the definition of employment to include app-based workers so they can receive full-time benefits for full-time work. Well, I already talked to you about this on previous episodes. If California is going to get that, then guess what? Uber and Lyft will leave those headquarters in San Francisco for most likely, and they'll go somewhere else, just like Tesla's gone, just like other places have gone, just like celebrities have left. If California wants to play that, they'll get the hell out. They'll relocate somewhere else. And they won't drive in California. To hell with it. Take the taxis. There's your people of color. Why don't you go and look at the disenfranchised taxi drivers? Why aren't you talking about them? I don't see anything about that, Erica. So Erica and Uber and its allies, Erica. Okay, and their allies have spent a record-breaking $200 million on lifting up Prop 22. All their drivers are struggling to get through the pandemic. So despite all the anti-racist advertisements and the faux we care about our drivers talking points, their priorities are clear: keep our POC and immigrant drivers in a constant state of financial insecurity and protect our profit model at all costs. By the way, no quotes, no dissenting opinion, nothing. This is a pure hit piece. Erica Bubala. She's the executive director of Jobs with Justice, a leading worker advocacy organization with the national labor movement. Why does it have to be gig jobs? Why can't it be other jobs? I don't hear anybody say anything about that. Guardian just gave her a free shot to go and come in here to go and take a hit piece. Uber and Lyft drivers know better. They really should not have to worry about this at all. It's a side hustle. They're advertising when they were looking for people to come on board. They called it a side hustle. And when I saw it, I saw $15 to $20 an hour. So I don't know where they saw $100,000 a year. I'd like to see where that number came from. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Come back for another one on my podcasting. Until next time.